Hey, what's up, Push the Line? It's your boy Jay from the K. I want you to rise and grind because it's time to push the line. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever tried to grow a garden in the winter? Of course you haven't. Why not? Because you recognize that trying to grow a garden in the snow is just not going to work because it's out of season. You cannot grow a garden in the snow. That's because we live according to seasons in life, in nature. Common sense tells us that the wintertime is not conducive to certain activities in our lives. So let me ask you this. In your personal life, how come you can't recognize what season you're in? How come you cannot recognize that maybe right now, this is winter for you, and you're trying to grow certain things in your life out of season? Why? Because sometimes we don't pay attention to that. We're oblivious to the fact that we're in a certain transitional phase, or we just went through the transition and now we are in a particular season in our life. And sometimes we have this bad habit of trying to force things to grow out of season. So we need to be able to discern what season we're in, because this is going to save us a lot of heartache and headache. It's going to save us some time, it's going to save us some money, it's going to save us some resource, and it's going to make us a lot happier and healthier, more productive in our own personal lives. What are some of the things that we might try to grow out of season? Well, we try to grow relationships out of season. Some of us are just getting out of a relationship. Some of us haven't been in a relationship in a while. Some of us have been in a relationship for a long time, and we are about to exit those relationships. But maybe you're a person who has been in and out of relationships, and let's just say in this last year, you've had 3 different people that you've been in a relationship with, and you've been trying to make this thing work. It's like trying to force a square peg into a circle. We're just trying to make it work, and it's just not gonna work. And so we're not happy, we're not satisfied, we feel insecure, we don't feel loved, we don't feel valued, we're diminishing our own morality, our own self-worth, we're diminishing our own esteem because we're steady trying to make something grow that is not supposed to be growing right now. Does that mean that you will never have love? No, that does not mean that. What it does mean is that right now, it's time to focus on you.
Do you, boo-boo? Do you, boo-boo? Do you, boo-boo? Do you?
Focus on you, boo-boo. All right, for real, it's time for you to just really think about, where am I at in my life? Do I have the things in my life that I want in my life to make me happy? Because if you can't make yourself happy right now, you can't make somebody else happy. If you can't love you right now, you can't love another person. It's just not gonna happen. But what will happen is, hurt people will hurt people. We don't wanna do that. And we don't wanna live in this repetitive cycle of insanity, trying to make something grow out of season that's not supposed to grow out of season. You can't get a garden to grow in the snow. It's just not gonna happen. Let's say you could get a garden to grow in the snow. Will it be healthy? Will it survive? Probably won't survive. It's the winter. So gardens don't grow in the winter. Things die in the winter. We need to be able to appreciate that. That's a fact of life. So understand in your own personal life, is it my winter? Is it my summer? Is it my spring? Is it my fall? Where am I at in the seasons of my life? That's gonna help you out tremendously. Tremendously, like Trump would say.
Tremendously.
For real. It's gonna help you out a whole lot if you can identify what season you're in. Don't try to make something grow that's not supposed to be there. Because really what you're gonna end up having is a whole lot of work on your hands. You're gonna be trying to grow a garden out of this season. You're gonna be constantly trying to provide life to this garden that's growing out of season. That's gonna cost you so much of your own self. It's gonna become a burden. It's not gonna be something you're gonna enjoy. Just imagine that, every day trying to nurture a garden in the dead of winter. That's silly. So let's not do that in our own personal lives. It may be time for us to step back and say, I just came out of a relationship. Right now is not time for me to be in a relationship. Right now is the time for me to grow, to develop my own self-worth, my own value, to love myself so that I can turn around and love somebody else later. Maybe right now, that's your season. Maybe right now, you want to be a multi-millionaire. But in reality, the season that you're in is you're behind on your bills, you have a lot of debt, you're struggling financially, you don't make the money you need to invest into your business, you don't have that revenue yet or that capital yet, and so it's not time for you to actually start the business. You may start the business and it may seem like it's gonna grow, but if it's out of season, you can't grow a garden in the winter. We need to be able to identify, once again, is it the right time for me to be doing that? Maybe right now, the season I'm in is for me to go get up under some mentorship from somebody who already has a business in that industry. Maybe they're just a long-time business owner who can pour into you and kind of educate you, kind of counsel you to help you make the best choices. Maybe it's time for you right now to study, to take a business course, go to some of the free workshops, take some leadership counseling classes or something like that to get yourself into a position to actually understand how to grow a business, how to operate a business, how to manage a business. And then when the season is right, you plant the seed and start to try to grow the business. We're using agricultural themes here. So in gardening, to make something grow, there is a pruning process. Maybe right now in life, you're going through pruning and you're still trying to force something to grow. And you're wondering like, man, every single time I get a little bit of traction, I feel like I get pushed back a little bit. Every time I gain a little bit, I lose a little bit. Well, that's a natural process of growing, of gardening. You have to prune to make something grow. So don't give up. Don't get weary in well-doing. Keep on pushing. Keep on trying. Wait, your harvest is gonna come. If the seed has already been planted, it's growing, it's part of the process to gain and lose a little bit. So be encouraged. Also, in our seasons of life, sometimes we outgrow things, and sometimes things outgrow us. Let's think about friendships. There's sometimes we have relationships with people that we have outgrown. Those friendships are no longer compatible with your current lifestyle. And it's crazy for you to try to keep that alive and well when it's really out of season. It's a weed in your garden. If you have weeds in your garden, it's gonna choke out everything else. But why? Well, maybe because you're trying to force something to grow out of season. We need to be able to identify the season. We need to be able to discern what needs to be in our life, who needs to be in our life, the time it should be there, and the time it shouldn't be there. Point blank, simple, period. Maybe it is that you're trying to work in a certain industry or certain field, but it's not really, you're really not in season. Maybe this season that you're in right now is the time for you to be building your resume by getting the history, the work history behind you in that field before you can get promoted to the position that you want. Maybe it means right now, the season you should be in is pursuing some training, building your skill set up, going to school and getting that education, that licensing, that certification. Because then when the season is right for you to get that job, you'll have all the tools that you need and the credentials to validate your knowledge, your experience, and your skill set, and then make you a better candidate for that position that you desire. Sometimes we can put the cart before the horse. Right now, it could be a season of growth. It could be a season of loss. You need to be able to identify that. Because if it's right now, we're in a season where it's time to be trimming the fat. You know, the pruning stage, the season of pruning. When you're gardening, you got to prune back sometimes to make something grow. And so maybe we're going through that season of pruning. Well, it wouldn't be wise to start overloading ourselves with a bunch of things, trying to make all these things be successful in our lives if we're going through that season of pruning. But we need to be able to identify what stage we're in, all right? Because it's gonna save us a lot of headache. It can also make us be more successful and productive, just identifying what season we're in. So let me read something to you, and just pay attention to what it's saying, because we're talking about seasons in our lives changing, okay? So listen to this text. There's an occasion for everything. There's a time for every activity under heaven. A time to give birth, a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to throw stones and a time to gather stones. A time to embrace and a time to avoid embracing. A time to search and a time to count as a loss. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time for love and a time for hate. A time for war and a time for peace. What is the text saying? This text is saying that there are many variations of seasons in our lives. A very astute person, a wise person is going to be able to discern what season they're in. Because let's say, when he talked about planting, there is a time to plant something. So it's a time to plant. So if we plant something out of season, can we really expect that thing to grow? We can't. If you can't force something to grow out of season, will it be healthy? Will it be healthy for you to ingest it? Will it be prosperous? Will it live long? You know what I mean? You might be able to get a tomato to grow out of season. But if you do, will it actually come to term? Will it actually grow all the way? Will it complete its cycle, or will it die early? Maybe you might start to bud a little bit and you get excited, like, oh yeah, this is gonna work, this is great. You know, I'm gonna have a tomato out of season. But because we are bound to the seasons, that's probably not gonna work. So sometimes in our lives, we give ourselves false hope because we see something starting to grow, starting to manifest, and it looks like it's gonna come to fruition because we want it so badly. But the reality is, we're trying to grow it out of season. So let's save ourselves some headache and stop trying to grow things out of season. Whether that's a relationship, a job, a business, a dream, you know, there are things that we're trying to grow out of season. Think about that this week. What season am I in? Ask yourself that question. Start to look around and notice the symptoms of those seasons. Hey, before you leave, go to the comment section, leave us a comment. Let us know, how do you identify what season you're in? How do you discern when you're making a transition from one season to the next season? That will really benefit somebody else to know how to better interpret the seasons change in their life, okay? Maybe you're a person who right now you're going through that period of pruning, you're going through that stage of loss in your life, and that's a very hard season to get through alone. I want you to go over to my channel and check out the video on counting your wins. That's gonna be a video that's gonna benefit you as you go through this season of pruning. All right, and this week, make sure that you keep pushing the line, and as always, be blessed.